I bought a Jeep. Hello everyone and welcome back to Not Great. I'm Tyler and this is my new daily driver. If this scenery looks familiar, it's because about a year ago I uploaded a video at the same exact spot with my new JDM CRV that I bought. That car is no longer with us. It was having some transmission issues. It was having some transmission issues. It sat at a shop for 2 months, not being touched, and I finally did a quick fix on it and sold it. Made some money, and I decided why not treat myself with something newer, something nicer, something reliable, something that I can count on, and something that fits my needs a little bit better. So here we are. Now let's start with how we landed here. Why did I choose a Juck? Why did I choose a Jeep truck? Why did I choose a Gladiator? It's a very long story. I'm very indecisive when it comes to cars. I needed something for my daily driving, so I was kind of looking at manual Corollas, stuff along that lines, but that would really only suit the daily driver aspect, getting good MPG, being maybe sort of comfortable, kind of fun if it was a manual or something like that. But that's really it. It doesn't have a ton of space. It would be okay for long trips, but it'd probably be pretty noisy on the highway being a base Corolla. And then if I'm getting a newish one, I'm spending $20,000 on a Corolla that's going to be $8,000 in a few years, and that's hard for me to take. So I started branching out and just looking at literally everything. I've mentioned it on the channel before. I really love the Volkswagen TDI SUV platform, the Q7, Q5, Cayenne, and Touareg. But I just don't think I'm brave enough to get into Volkswagens and diesels and stuff like that yet. Maybe eventually, like if this thing is good, I can get it as like a secondary vehicle or a farm vehicle or something like that if I ever get that, which I don't have a farm now. I don't even have space for 2 cars. So I ruled that out, and then I was like, okay, well, I've got the E30. It needs to be towed eventually to drift events. So what can I get that can tow, that I like, that's comfortable, that can get halfway decent mileage, that isn't gonna break my bank? So that ruled out a lot of the American diesel trucks, your 2500s, F250s, 350s, Super Duties. All that were pretty much out the window because you're gonna be paying what I paid for this for, probably a 25-year-old diesel. It would do everything I need it to, but they're gonna have 200, 300,000 miles. They're gonna be 20, 30 years old, and I would just be in the same place that I am with the CRV, except I can tow the whole skin of the earth off if I want to, and at the end of the day I'm still not coming out that far ahead. So I was like, well, you know what, let me get something newer and reliable that can sort of do what I need to. So I started looking at Rubicon Wranglers because I didn't realize that the newer ones had tanked in value so much. You can get a new Rubicon, a newish one, 5 years old, like the newest JL gen, for like 25 grand, which is very cheap considering they were 50s to 60s new. So I started looking at that, test drove a couple, started looking, and then I saw a couple Gladiators popped up, and I was like, Gladiators are cheaper than Wranglers for some reason, and in my mind, it's more vehicle. I mean, I get a whole bed on the back of it. It's a Wrangler with a bed. Doing some more research, they tow more. The Wrangler only tows like 3,500 pounds. This, in a base stock, like sport trim, tows like, I think it's 4,500 or 4,800. This one, the way it sits now, being the Willys package and having a couple other things done to it, probably 5,500 to 6,000 pounds. I'm gonna add like transmission cooler, lower thermostat, temp gauge, stuff like that to make it make the transmission and engine run cooler and happier when I'm towing. But it's gonna be good enough for towing the E30 that's probably only gonna weigh like 2,500 pounds max, plus like a 2,000 pound trailer. So that fit my needs, because apparently, I don't know if the entire frame is like this, but I know at least the back half where the bed is basically a Ram 1500, which is why it can tow so much more than the standard Wrangler. So when this one popped up, I saw it before it ever even hit the dealer website. It was on the dealer website, but they didn't have any information about it. They just had that it was a 2021 Willys Gladiator. They had the price and they had the miles. They didn't even have any pictures of it. So I called him, spoke to a super cool dude. He got me a bunch of pictures, and when he sent me the pictures, I was like, damn, these guys have no idea what they have, because it was at a Nissan dealership. It wasn't at a Jeep dealership. I guess the guy traded in on the new Titan or Frontier or FX4 or whatever the hell they're called. I don't know why he would do that. But I'll post some of the pictures up here that he sent, and I sent it to my buddy Shane, who also has a JL Wrangler Willys, and he noticed down here on the shocks, you could see a little bit of the top of the shocks, and he was like, dude, those look like they're Falcon shocks on that lift kit. Because obviously you could tell by looking at it. I'll post a picture of a stock one as well if you're not familiar with Jeeps. But if you know Jeeps at all, this one is very obviously lifted. It's got about a 3.5 inch to a 4 inch lift kit on it. And we were looking at the shocks, and I started looking up to see what lift kits came with those shocks, because they're Falcon shocks. So Falcon doesn't make a lift kit, but they make shocks. At least as far as I know. Maybe they make them and I just don't know about them. And then I looked, and TerraFlex is about the only brand that actually sells lift kits with Falcon shocks as an option. So I was pretty much set on this being a 3.5 inch TerraFlex lift kit, which is about $1,500 to $1,800 depending on where you get it from, which is so cool. We also noticed at the front it has Metal Cloak 1-ton steering, which is again sick. I've had Metal Cloak stuff on many of my previous Jeeps in the past. Yeah, by the way, this is actually my 5th Jeep. I know you guys don't know because I've not had any of them on the channel because I've been out of the Jeep world for a number of years, but I'm back, baby. So that was what we noticed in the pictures, just that it was lifted, it had some bigger tires. We couldn't even tell what size the tires were, just that they looked a little bit bigger, and that it had some nice steering and some nice suspension components. And I'm like, all right, as long as this thing drives okay and is not like beat to death, I'm taking it home with me. So my dad and I drove down to lovely Charlotte, North Carolina. Almost got shot by an Ultima driver 17 times. But we made it there. We took a look at it. As soon as I saw it, I very much go off of gut feelings. I turned down a lot of vehicles that I went and test drove because I just had a bad gut feeling. This one, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I got a good feeling about this one. And I was trying not to let the coolness factor way into that, but of course it will to a certain extent. But we drove it, and this thing drove fantastic. It drove straight. It drove better than a stock Rubicon Gladiator that I had driven about a week before. That's how dialed this thing is. And come to find out, the previous owner, he was from Florida, and he actually took it to an off-road shop to have all of these parts installed. I don't know if they're the ones that bought it and ordered it or what, but it was actually professionally installed at a shop. And you can obviously tell. I mean, the fit and finish on all of these parts is fantastic. In addition to all the cool stuff, the main reason why I was looking at these vehicles, in addition to the things that I've already said, but this one in particular, was because one, it has a cold weather package. Speaking of which, there's another Gladiator driving by right now, a blue one. The Willys package is very cool because standard, it gives you like a little bit bigger tires. I think like a couple more skid plates. It's a little more off-road oriented. It also has a limited slip differential in the rear and 373 gears, as opposed to, I think the lower trim models have 355. I'm not for sure. I know the Wranglers have 355s. The Gladiators might be 373, but either way, it's a little bit better. Comes with the heavy-duty Dana 44s like all the other Gladiators do, not the Dana 30-35 package like the Wrangler does, which is nice. This thing's basically already set up with everything that I was going to do to it anyway, and it was already at the price point that I was comfortable paying for a stock one with this year and mile and packages and everything like that. So I basically got all the stuff that I was going to do to it already for free. But this has the cold weather package, which is heated seats, heated steering wheel, and remote start. And you probably know, if you've seen any of my videos, I need that where I live. I am way up in the mountains in Tennessee at about 3,500 elevation, and we just had a blizzard for the last like 3 weeks, and I cannot tell you how nice it's been to just go to my living room, click on the remote start, and I get in and I got a warm butt and warm hands on my steering wheel. I'm already spoiled. I've had this thing 2 weeks and I cannot get enough of it. So that was the one and only package that was going to be a for sure deal breaker for me. I looked at many. If they didn't have the cold weather package, I didn't even consider it. Doesn't matter if it was $3,000 cheaper. I don't feel like adding it. I'm not doing that. I was adamant about having a cold weather package. The other one that this has that was a super nice addition that I really wanted but wasn't a requirement is it has the premium audio package. So it's got Alpine speakers. I think it has a couple of additional speakers like tweeters or something like that. And it also has an Alpine amplifier and a subwoofer, which I believe is either 6.5 or 8 inches in the back, which I was going into it before I played around with the audio settings thinking like, okay, it'll probably be okay. It'll be good enough. It's going to sound like every other car subwoofer where it's got marginally more bass, but it's nothing to write home about. And so I was already planning on adding some subs under the rear seats and everything like that. But I tell you what, I turned the bass up in this thing. I am very, very pleasantly surprised. You guys know that I have had a Sundown 12-inch subwoofer in the last 2 cars that I've had. That thing absolutely destroys. But I tell you what, this thing is no slouch for what it is. For it being small in a package, and I guess it's because it's in like a small crew cab, it's not having to beat a large volume of a car. So that's what helps it kind of sound good. But I'm very pleasantly surprised. I don't have a very strong urge to either replace it or add something to it. Maybe down the line eventually, but I am more than content with the way it is right now, which is a nice blessing because I did not want to spend another $1,500 to $2,000 on new audio. So I've been driving it for a couple of weeks now. I think I got it 2.5 weeks ago, something like that. Let's go over some of the facts. It's got 35-inch tires. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. I mentioned that we didn't know what it was when I got it. So it's a 3.5-inch Terraflex lift kit, metal cloak steering, metal cloak sway bar reinforcements, 35-inch BF Goodrich mud terrain tires, which only have about half life left, which kind of sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. Rock sliders I didn't know about. I thought these were the stock ones. They are LOD off-road. They're about $1,200. They're steel. They're actually rock sliders, so they tie into the frame. So if I'm off-roading and I go offside and bash it up against a rock, it's not like they're gonna crumble and it's gonna hit my door and everything. It's gonna protect the whole side of the car. I also saw I've got a tonneau cover, which was obvious. I knew I had that, but it's just a cheap little Amazon one, but it works. There's also rough country molly panels all along the inside of the bed, which is super nice for like camping gear, or when I set up my pop-up merch shops, I can strap things down. It's not gonna fly all over the bed. And then I've got the tonneau cover, so nothing's gonna fly out. So again, this thing is just, it's so dialed, it's so set up, it's great. In the few weeks that I've been driving it, my daily commute is about 30 minutes through mountains, up some hills, anywhere between like 30 and 50 miles an hour. And I'm getting 18.5 mpg on 35-inch tires in a big ass juck. Like, I'm not gonna complain about that at all. Am I Corolla levels? No. Is it better than my dad's Tundra that I was driving that was getting 12 mpg? Yeah. And I know what you're thinking, Tyler, you said you were gonna get something reliable and you bought a Jeep and it's gonna blow up in the next 500 miles. I agree. That's why when I got this, I was able to negotiate in an extended warranty. It's got a lifetime powertrain warranty, which basically means as long as I stay up with the maintenance, anything that happens to the engine, transmission, or drive axles, it's $100 to replace anything. If for some reason something goes wrong with the engine and I send a piston up to the moon, it's $100 for a new engine. If I take it to one of their dealerships, $250 if I take it to any other dealership. It also has a 100,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty, which covers literally everything else on the vehicle that's not considered like a wear and tear item, like brakes, tires, windshields and windows aren't covered, just things like that. But anything that's electrical is gonna be covered. Which is nice because my mom had a WK2 Grand Cherokee and her heated seat went out, and it was going to be like $950 just for the part, and it was going to be like almost $2,000 to replace it all. And I desperately want my heated seats. I want my heated steering wheel. I know those are probably going to go out at some point. I just hope they go out within the next 100,000 miles so that they can be covered and I can get a brand new one put in for $100. And I also got 36 months of maintenance. So this thing should be dialed for quite a while. It's also a Jeep. Like I said, I've had 4 other Jeeps in the past. I know them. I don't know this platform that well, but I know they're easy to work on. Jeep parts are cheap. Even the expensive stuff is relatively cheap and it's easy to work on. It's easy to replace virtually anything on this. As with the Wrangler that this is obviously based on, everything from basically here forward is exactly the same. These doors come off easily. You open them up, you unplug the harness, you pull them off. You can take the top off. You can see it separated right here. There's a couple levers and twisty turning knobs in there, and then you've got your roll cage exposed. It looks hilariously ridiculous with the top off because you've got a crew cab truck with no top and no doors. It's the funniest thing on earth, but you know I'm gonna do it. I did also convince the dealer to let me keep on the dash. There's like it looks like the rail of a gun, to be honest. I don't know what it's actually from, but there's a GoPro mount and a phone mount. So as you guys are gonna see in the next video that comes out, I was kindly gifted a GoPro Hero 13 by my parents for Christmas. So we're gonna mess around with like dual camera setups, POV stuff, things like that. So whenever we take this off-roading and on camping trips, I'm gonna take you guys along with me. I'm gonna have someone filming from the outside. I'm gonna have the GoPro set up on the inside. It's gonna be super cool. Oh, I forgot. It also has a, I believe it's a rough country or something along the line. It's a cheaper front bumper, stubby bumper with a Harbor Freight winch, Badlands 12,000 pound winch. And when I got it, I didn't think to look for the winch controller, and I was like, oh shit, I might not have it. But I found it. It's in the storage compartment underneath the seat that I'm gonna show you guys. So I have that. I've got a winch. Like, this thing is ready to go. And we do have a wheeling and camping trip planned for Uwharrie opening weekend. If you have an off-road vehicle, I would love to meet you guys there. I'm gonna bring some swag, so if you're gonna be there, holler at me. I will see you guys there. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this thing. I know it's very different for this channel. I'm obviously very much I've got my BMW drift car, which is neither of what this thing is gonna do. I had my JDM CRV, I had the Honda Accord before that, but in one of these videos coming up, I'm actually gonna go over every single car that I've ever owned, and I'm gonna rank it on a tier list. So I hope you guys look forward to that. That's gonna be a super fun video to make. I'm really anxious to show you guys like all the other cars that I've had and kind of see what you guys think of them. But let me know what you think of the Juck. Let me know if you think I'm dumb and I made a dumb purchase, or if you think I'm maybe kind of cool now or I'm less cool now. Either way, let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. The next video with the BMW I've already been working on. I'm just waiting on a couple parts to come in, so you guys are going to be getting that video probably a week or two after this one comes out. And then after I'm done with this one, I'm gonna start working on the reviewing every car I've ever owned video. So y'all are gonna get 3 videos very quickly because I owe it to you guys. It's been too long. So I love you. Bye.